Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Glam Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about training the system, not training the individual muscles quite so much. Not to say that you don't train the individual muscles, but what I'm trying to say is that a lot of natural bodybuilders get obsessed with watching these drug guys or these guys that are not natural bodybuilders. And they see these guys are working like muscle groups like, ear lobes, they're working like the ear muscles to basically move the ears up and down. They're learning how to, work their scrotum fascia, whatever. I mean, they're learning how to work all these little individual muscles and designing the perfect exercise to isolate all these things. And although there is some premise to this, I mean, I'm all about isolating muscles and taking them as much to failure as you can, or pushing them deep into a burn. But the one thing that natural bodybuilders cannot ignore, they can never ignore this, that is the systemic training, meaning that you need to stimulate the overall system in order to get the results from the isolation specialty type techniques. So the obvious way that you stimulate the system is that you use whole body movements. Now, don't worry, you guys out there that have extreme lower back injuries and stuff like that, I'm gonna talk to you about the system here in a different way too. So don't get discouraged just by what I'm saying right now. But one way to stimulate the whole system is to do the big movements, such as variations of the deadlift, variations of the squat, along with overhead presses, things that stimulate the spine along with a lot of muscle groups at once, so that we are sending a collective democratic message to the body. I know democracy sounds weird in this day and age because there is none. But the bottom line is, in bodybuilding, your body basically has a lot of muscles, and if you can activate a lot of them all at once, there's no question that that sends a signal to the authority within your body to change the hormonal response and therefore adapt to this consensus of stimulus, right? It's like the consensus of stimulus. Sounds kind of cool. Consensus stimulation. That's right. You heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first. So by doing this, you are causing the body to be unable to ignore the overwhelming need to adapt. So that's one way that a natural bodybuilder needs to strategize their training, is to say, I have to include some of this stuff in my training in order for the body to say, all right, let's flick the switch. Let's throw the switch of adaptation. Now, another way to stimulate the overall system, and this is something that may really interest you guys out there who are maybe injured and you can't do overall body workouts. I have a few guys sending me emails like this, like they have bad lower back injuries that they can't overcome, or neck injuries or something like that. So they have a hard time doing anything that includes the spine. Well, I'm going to say to you, there's other ways to stimulate your overall system. And one way is with diet. Now, you hear it over and over and over again that diet is one of the most important aspects of bodybuilding or fitness. So what I'm going to say to you is that there are certain diets that you'll notice that your body is way more anabolic than, say, with the diet previous, right? So one thing I've noticed with my body is that I'm putting on some muscle weight right now. And what I've done is I've increased my fats big time, lowered my carbohydrates a lot, and had my protein pretty much at the same, about 1 gram per pound of body weight per lean mass. And what's happened is that my body has responded much better to training. So for instance, in this video clip right now, I'll show you, I did more reps with 185 in standing shoulder press than I have in the last year and a half. Now, this is the same technique as I used with the lighter weight. So, you know, any of you guys that are gonna, you know, bitch about my technique or whatever, the technique is still the same. So I still have increased in strength in this last week and a half, 2 weeks, just from changing my diet. So this goes to show how anabolic diet can be. Because if your digestion is not digesting the food properly or distributing it properly, you're not going to recover, right? So when you change what you eat or the ratios of what you eat, carbs to fats and vice versa, you will notice that there will be a magic percentage or ratio that will stimulate your body's endocrine system along with stimulating your body's recovery, because it's all really linked, you know what I'm saying? So for those of you who are not paying attention to your diet, but you've got a lot of injuries and stuff like that, I'd say you have to really pay attention to your diet. Not saying you have to be really strict, but you do have to come up with some type of scenario, whether it's, you know, you need more greens in your diet, or you need to have a higher amount of fats to stimulate the hormone production and lower amount of carbs, and there's no junk food eating, just getting those empty calories, right? You may need to be super strict in order to get the same type of systemic response, because food does cause, or food is a signal to the system of what to do, right? And if you're putting a lot of stuff that's making your blood sugar go up, down constantly, your body's going to get into fat storage mode, but not necessarily recovery mode. So there is a happy medium in there. What that is exactly for you, I don't know. But one thing I can share with you with my own experience is that proteins and fats seem to be key in this. And that's what it's been like for me. When I up my fats and up my proteins and green vegetables, so the green vegetables have the enzymes to help me digest the protein and the fats. Basically what I've done is, of course, and I always include organ meat as well, but what I've done is I've done this as my main foundation of what I'm eating, and then I throw in a little bit of carbs here and there. Say I have a protein bar, like a real food type of protein bar that has like 30 grams of carbs or something. I'll do something like that a couple times a day, but I'm not taking in carbs as my major side in my meal. You know what I'm saying? Fats, greens, and protein is my main foundation, and then carbs are just a little bit here and there. And then say once every 4 or 5 days, I'll load up on some carbs. You know, maybe I'll have a meal of some starch or something like that. So you'll find that when you do this, you not only take advantage of that anabolic super saturation method that I've talked about with carbohydrates, because when your body becomes more sensitive to carbs, then it uses them in the right way instead of the wrong way. Say once you avoid a certain amount of starch for a period of time, then when you take starch in, it super saturates your muscles and it increases recovery. But if you do it too much, it becomes a burden on the system and then it lowers your recovery. It's the same thing. So setting or resetting your diet into a foundation that works for the most part, like a better foundation, is going to have a huge benefit on your system, and don't underestimate it. And if you haven't found that perfect diet yet, don't quit experimenting. Just keep experimenting and find out what that is for you, because some people, they respond really great to eggs and cholesterol that's found in the egg yolk and stuff. Other people don't respond to that. They respond more to red meats or maybe just pure fish and chicken and stuff. So you have to find that ratio for yourself, and don't stop searching. As a natural bodybuilder, remember, stimulating the system first and foremost with diet and lifestyle choices of any kind, along with, you know, say certain exercises that stimulate the overall system, that has to be first and foremost. And then from there, you can go into the isolation, bodybuilder, pretty type stuff. Mountain. We have to return to that, because we know this channel is all about being pretty, right? Of course, right? So pretty. I probably lost a subscriber there. Probably lost a few subscribers there. Oh well, what's the big deal? Mountain.